What's up? Pick Central, Thursday, August 17th?
Yep.
17th. New time slot if you're watching live. Obviously, it's 11 o'clock. Hey, lineup shifted, lineup moved around. We want the best programming wire to wire. So, happy to do it. 11 o'clock. Moving on. Happy to be here with the usual guys. Talk some gambling, talk some picks. Have Zah belittle us. Tell us how good his life is and how shitty we are. And then do that laugh, that pat. Can we get a laugh? I know I didn't even say anything funny, but like, exactly. So there you go. So the boys are all back. And
when's the last day?
I got to cancel next week, sometime next week, and I got to cancel one of my golf outings.
Oh, yeah?
To move, dude. And this one's a good one.
What a shame.
The Wagyu in that part of the fucking America.
Yeah, what a shame.
Yeah, he was putt-putting with Mr. Portnoy yesterday, the cousin.
Oh, nice.
Oh, the
Good for
cousin.
him.
The steak was
little
nice.
reunion.
Yeah. Good for him.
Putt-putt.
So
I literally miss the cousins so much. I really do.
We were saying that when we went to Savannah Bananas. You were
I know.
saying how much you missed it.
Yeah, him
Miss him.
just turn on. Him versus technology should just be a show.
Dude, yeah.
Michael versus technology.
There was one show.
Man versus machine.
There was one show that we talked about a bird dick, and it was the best show ever.
Oh, it's all right. We're just gonna awkwardly stare at you. It's all right. We're going to break your balls.
It's a sports show, shopping network.
One
either
Kevin,
one.
Hoodie.
Find what you're looking for?
One quick comment. How bad is it that the Mets have ruined your summer, that you can't even watch the games?
Dude, I'm actually happy that if they were going to be bad, I'd rather it be this.
It's kind of weird because
I have
then you
checked
get
out
to
and
you get to do what you want, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
it's
life.
like
So I'm like,
I haven't thought. I don't think about the Yankees anymore.
you're that out.
Yesterday.
I announced a boycott last
this is
week.
going to go down.
Really?
I'm
We're losing
saying it's going
record
to go
now.
down as the worst season.
They've been moved to the
New York
secondary
history.
Yeah.
Moved to the secondary.
Well,
TV.
92 was. Wait, you could. I mean, we're going
I
back
don't think
that far.
were they both
I
last
don't have
place?
to talk about
Not all of us are
92.
1,000.
That's when the last time you both had losing
Yeah, but we
records.
weren't born, so we don't talk
don't
about
shame
I was born.
1992. You remember 1992?
Yeah, but I mean,
What are we doing?
I was probably having sex in that. I mean, the Yankees are also a product of like their division is fucking like it's. You guys are feeling like shit because you're in last place, but. I mean, you're not what's your record? You're like a few games above 500, probably, right? Like,
No,
I'm 500.
oh wow, okay.
500.
It has got
under
that.
500. You guys are under.
Okay, then never mind. We can all just be in this shit show together.
Yeah.
I would rather be us than you
you sold. You guys
because we're building. You guys are fucked.
I guess if you
You
are
just
going
gave out a $400
you
million
guys are
deal.
still in the mix, and you could basically waste your whole time, and then into the fall. That's worse. I'd
No,
much
I mean,
rather
it's
be.
not-
We were out by 4th of July. I was on. It's like, all right.
We'll never win a championship. Like I've been saying, we're the team now where I keep using the same phrase for this team. It's like keep doing the same things over and over again with different results. You're insane.
Yeah.
That's Brian Cashman. That's our
It's
organization.
very Wilpon, to be honest. It's like a little bit more money than Wilpon, but it's the
like
same
it's
thing.
like we just have enough band-aids where it's like Aaron Judge is still there and Garrett
Yes.
Cole's going to win the Cy Young, but
We're wasting
the
two
team's-
people's prime.
the rest of the
best
team
players in
sucks.
baseball's
Two
prime.
great two Hall of
Also,
Famers, perhaps.
What's
The
going
rest
to
of the team
happen is
sucks.
Aaron Boone's going to get fired, and Cashman's still going to be like he's just going to be a scapegoat. Cashman's.
I really think that we still are at the beginning of the new Steinbrenner regime, which is very Wilpon. We're like, I think those guys are just putting money in their pockets.
Yes.
And they're gonna be old. Like they're not that old. Like they're gonna be around for a long time. I also feel. I mean, I remember saying in like 2018, like the Yankees got to shake it up, and that's like 6
They were
years
getting
ago
old
now. Like
stars, yeah.
you know,
The
like
thing is,
they
they
didn't
know that
we don't even
people
get lefties anymore.
Yeah. I mean, like it used to be, like especially when you get two Wall of Famers and a couple, like they would go all over, like over the top, and they would go get Ohtani or they would go get Juan Soto or like and they're just like, nope, we're good.
These owners.
Remember, the Yankees said that they didn't go after Bryce Harper because they don't need a first baseman.
Oh, that was really where if I have to like look back on it and kind of pinpoint it. It would probably be that because I remember that was the ultimate. He's gonna look good in pinstripes. He's gonna look good in pinstripes.
Turn his back on Mets. Jesus Christ.
But the day that they didn't go get him,
No,
They
it's
didn't even
awful.
offer
they
him
didn't even
one.
try.
They didn't even try to
Machado
get
and Harper were like together, right? And it was like they could use both. And in the past, they would have just gone and got both, and they got zero and didn't even like try. I was like,
These owners know that the fans are always going to show up. That's why they don't care. They're like, why am I going to spend more money?
they
That's
are like
stupid.
trying to do the boycotts and
Won't
stuff.
work.
It's just like there's so many fucking people who are just like take their kids to the game and corporate outings. and,
Yeah,
like,
it's like, oh, it's Yankees. We're going to go see a Yankee game. It'll be fun. Like, it doesn't matter. They're just like, oh, we'll be this mediocre for a while.
Are you in a spot now where you're going to actually get excited for playoff baseball that you've you haven't. I'm not saying you haven't watched, but like you've been so checked out. It's like, oh, you know what? In October now, I could get excited for actually watching meaningful baseball with no fandom in it.
I'll be pumped up to root against the Braves. All I need is the Braves to lose. And I do think I don't know if their pitching their offense is fucking, they could match their way through a 3-week period and win the World Series.
The favorite doesn't always win.
But like that pitching I would be a little bit worried about that being, like for a team that's that good to have a potential, like you have a fucking bad 4-game stretch and you're out.
He's got Max Fried back, though. That pitching is starting to lock in. And Elder had, 6-7 starter innings today, or this week, excuse me?
I feel like, I've been checked out, but I feel like Spencer Strider was
Spencer has been knocked around a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, they just match.
Hey, the Braves have been in the same position every single year since like 1989, and they've won 2.
But it feels like their lineup. I mean,
their lineup
crazy.
Smashes.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about it. They got the highest.
What is this shit?
Of all time.
Who from the Mets world? The Mets podcast is going on right now. I'm talking about the Mets with you guys. Who from the Mets world has been saying we always beat the Braves? That quote from Ozzie Albies the other day. Like
they make shit up. They make shit up.
Haven't beat the Braves since the 80s.
We none of the players say it other than like generic quotes of like we think we can beat them every time we take the field, and the fans are like you guys fuck us in the ass every single time.
That's what Paulo Duca says.
I'm like for a team that is the best record in baseball, like 25 games up. What the fuck are you doing talking about the Mets?
I mean, the Georgia football team said that no one believed in us. They were the favorites all year.
Right.
Kansas City Chiefs, like Kelsey was like, they didn't believe in us. I'm like,
the little engine that could, the Chiefs.
Every team, they need that little motivation. Whatever they all say that shit.
I guess so because
we're the favorites all year.
Right.
So it should be fined if you say that.
All right, for real. All right, I gotta go.
Yeah.
NFL.
He's always got nice sneakers. Yeah.
He's rich.
Those are nice.
He's rich now.
Got the snakeskins 2 days in a row. NFL. So
He had
Ryan
good sneakers before he was rich.
he did. He's
Yeah,
a
he's-
sneaker guy. He's a sneaker.
Yeah, but he probably doubled up.
Of course.
That was look the sneaky. That was how Ebony got a job. She used to work the front desk of the old office,
Right.
And she would always comment Kevin on sneakers.
Oh, okay.
And then so they built a rapport. She got let go, and then we hired. her. Make sure it was
Didn't she get let go for doing content? Wasn't that the
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Either way. All right. Ryan Clark makes a comment. Did he pick a side?
No, he
posed
had a quote that said George Pickens is much more talented than Justin Jefferson.
All right. So
And the internet went crazy, as they do.
I mean, that's a hot take to put out there without.
I feel like
I
he
wanted
knows
to
what he's
address it
doing.
because I quote tweeted it, and I think I probably wasn't as clear as I should have been, like what I meant. The much more talented is probably a bit of a stretch.
I think
It's definitely
a big
a stretch.
But I don't think I think they're in their terms of their like pure physical talent, not like production in the field, not like just their pure like physical attributes and like their gifts, like natural gifts as an athlete. I don't think are far off. I don't think
Justin Jefferson's still more talented though.
I don't
even with that.
Listen, no. The argument is like I would take Justin Jefferson over Pickens 100 times out of 100. But in terms of just pure physical ability, like Pickens is a freak of nature. Like I guess my point is he hasn't gotten to like fully prove it yet on the field. He just got there, and I think he's kind of a head case. I think that's going to hold him back from being like getting to the level that Jefferson's at. But I truly believe that like any catch Jefferson can make, like Pickens is capable of making. He might be like a little faster. I think Pickens is like bigger, stronger. He's a freak of nature, I guess was more the point I was trying to make. And the point I was trying to make too, I used like the Brady comparison where obviously we've seen much more like physically gifted quarterbacks, but he's still the best. Like just because you're more talented does not mean you're better.
Exactly.
I mean,
Was the point I was trying to make.
Justin
Well, I
Jefferson.
had a problem with trying to.
He's a freak as well. Like I'm not saying he's
I mean,
not.
there's no measure that you could. I mean, Jefferson's rookie year had 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns.
But this is the point. I'm
He's
saying
not
it's
talking
not,
no, that's
it's not production.
That's
It's
where
like,
I'm going.
He's a better player, and I'm not even
It's at
saying
800 yards.
You're splitting hairs
but-
when you
but-
try to say who's more talented. Don't you get?
But it's like a fit. But I'm saying like just naturally, like it's physical gifts and like the things you're capable of doing, not just like purely like what you do on the field. Because at that argument, you can make like quarterback play would come. And I'm not even saying this. I'm just saying it as an example. Like I said, I would take Justin Jefferson 100 times out of 100 over George Pickens. But I'm saying like people acting like he is like just so much more gifted.
Let me say something right
Pickens,
now.
I think is off.
I think. Tell me if I'm wrong here. I think that Ayuk is a better receiver than Deebo Samuel, but Deebo's way more talented.
He's more.
I think that.
People can do
Hey,
different
I
things.
think Jerry Rice is a better receiver than Randy Moss, but Randy Moss is more athletic.
Yeah, I think that's
Yes,
just
but
where
that's
it's also
correct. I
what we're
believe- I
doing
think
here
that's fair.
is what I think is stupid is that hey,
I think
they're both-
everybody's right.
They're both really fucking good. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like it doesn't.
then what-
It's such a throwaway comment. I think he did it good with it
He's
because
a Steelers guy,
everyone.
that's it.
What should matter more, production or like the
Production of
right? Yeah. So,
but my
he's
I'm not
making an
trying-
argument that's like outdated or like why?
No, he's doing it what we're doing right
trying to
now.
shine in
But
he's trying to shine in a Steeler who he believes is incredibly gifted. Who I agree. I think Pickens is like. I'm sorry. I just think he's up there with anybody in terms of like pure like natural athleticism and like physical ability. That doesn't mean he's going to be like. I mean, for quarterbacks, you could say Anthony Richardson is that. That doesn't mean he's going to be good.
Right.
But he has a rocket for an arm. He's fast. He can run. Like all these things. I'm kind of saying that that Pickens is kind of like that for a receiver. Like he's huge. He's athletic. He can jump high. He can catch. His catch radius is insane. I'm not saying Jefferson. By saying that does not mean Justin Jefferson's isn't. He's an incredible. Obviously, he's a fucking phenomenal athlete. He's probably the best receiver in the league.
Ryan Clark is doing him no favors.
No, he's
Compare
he's
him
not.
to a Hall of Famer.
No, he's
Justin
not.
Jefferson's making the Hall of Fame. He's that good.
I think he's
numbers.
also
3 years in, I'll say it. That guy's getting a busting kick.
Hall of Fame trajectory. We'll
Yes,
say.
trajectory. That's all you can say.
He-
Right, of course, but he
Hall of Fame
he-
locked in
that-
is a little too far.
He has to be taking in quarterback play, though, for sure. Like, if we're comparing quarterbacks from Pickens and Jefferson, like, Jefferson's by far had the better quarterbacks out of the two.
It's fair.
Yeah, he's,
Like, he's definitely taking that
yeah.
into account. Like, he has to be.
Yeah.
But, like, just not mentioning it in the quote, like, just to make people talk. But
The much more talented was where if he had just said that he's like as talented, then I think there would have been a real discussion, and that's kind of where I was trying to bring the discussion to. Is that I think like in just pure like physical attributes and like just talent level, like natural athleticism, I think they're like not far off.
I mean,
And they're pretty close, like physically.
Kirk Cousins does just like force feed Justin Jefferson, as you could see last year, and then in most fantasy stuff, he's number one off the board.
As he should have.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Jefferson
saying that.
goes up and
I'm
gets
not. I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm just saying he does get force fed up more than other receivers.
Well, let me ask you this, right? So, and it's been thrown around a lot, and it drives me nuts in the NBA, and I've definitely heard it with a guy. I'm gonna need his name. The Ohio State guy that the Jets drafted.
Wilson, Garrett Wilson.
No. Way back in the day, he was a defensive player for Ohio State, and he only had like 5 or 6 sacks.
Oh, Vernon Golson?
Vernon Golston. Thank you very much. So I'll tie it all in together. So in the NBA, they love to draft on potential.
Yep.
They love to draft on athleticism. And it's like, just give me a guy who could go play. You know, like sometimes the guys who go play turn out a little bit better. And the NFL, you see that too. Vernon Golston. The quote that came out with Vernon Golston, if you could believe this, was, well, when he takes his shirt off, he's a top 10 pick. He didn't do anything at Ohio State. My dad goes, a Jets fan, luckily I didn't inherit that. He goes, why don't we just let, like, horned up girls make the picks then? If we like how they look.
go
without
draft
their shirt on.
Fabio.
Like, what are we doing? Yeah, he's like, what are we doing? So as a fan, does that drive you nuts? Or what would you rather your team do? Draft on the potential and, like, the athleticism and the look and the moxie? Or just straight up, who plays ball?
I think it varies sport to sport and position to position.
And situation by situation, like Nimmo, for instance, when he got drafted, they didn't even have a high school baseball team. But you see him get better every year because he's finally getting the proper coaching and the proper situation to succeed as a baseball player. But it was all based on raw talent.
How is that possible that Brandon Nimmo got drafted? He didn't have a high school baseball team.
He had like a club team because he was in Wyoming in the middle of nowhere.
he probably
They didn't even
played,
have like
summer ball too. And
yeah, they played like they didn't have like a. It's such a
That's
small town.
hell of a factoid.
It's like football teams playing basically 7-on-7.
I was going to say, I was literally,
Idaho.
Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker he played for Boise State, was the first time picking the Cowboys. He was in such a small town in Idaho, they only had I think he called it
7-on-7.
7-on-7
football, yeah.
And then he was a phenomenal football player. He just grew up
crazy.
in a town that had like 100 people in it.
The Steelers with Pickens, though, they could have been thinking as the same as the Seahawks did when taking Metcalf. Like, who are you going to take another guy like a DB or a lineman in the second round, or are you going to take a shot on like this freak athletic wide receiver? Like, let's see if we can hit gold just because he got hurt a couple times. Like Justin Ross is trying to do it with the Chiefs right now. He might be a beast this year too. So.
Like, don't get me wrong. In terms of, I think, the formula of turning someone into a superstar, it's much easier to take that freak athlete and be able to fine-tune him. You know, the same thing with basketball. Like, hey, he's unbelievable, but we got to teach him how to work in an offense. We got to teach him how to eat right, management. Same thing with a wide receiver. Like, the guy can just go catch the ball, and he runs faster than everybody. But we got to teach him route running. We got to teach him how to read a coverage. You know, like, I think you can fine-tune a freak into getting it a little bit more so than the guy who's a program player or, run of the mill good and exploding. You know what I mean? Like a system type of guy, and all of a sudden he takes off.
It was like that kid. I think it was not this like this just recent draft. The one before, the kid from Penn State, Owa, who had he had no sacks and he went in the end of the first round of the Ravens. And I was just trying to look up this. I think he actually he definitely had a few sacks his rookie year. And they see a kid like that, explosive athleticism, he can get off the edge. Just didn't have the production in college, but he's a talented guy. They think they can mold guys like that. I mean, I personally would go to, like, I remember even saying that draft with the Justin Jefferson draft where they're laughing, they take Rieger, whatever. They see Rieger, he's probably he might have ran like a faster. I don't even know if he did it. Maybe he ran a faster 40.
He did.
They see better. I would figure
that was the sell.
That was the ultimate. That was
Rieger's more athletic than Justin Jefferson.
Over the kid they try to almost where they hold it against you.
Meanwhile, we're Justin Jefferson at LSU getting fed by Joe Burrow after dominating.
He had a million yards. Yeah. And I would say
exact comparison.
In the NFL, I would lean to the production, but yeah,
Rieger and them on the same
crazy.
team.
I actually think Jalen Rieger might have a decent year. To be honest with you,
They got a nice little. I think Addison's going to be really good.
I think Addison's going to be very good.
You said a nice little toe tap he had in preseason.
Cousins.
They didn't count it too, and it definitely should have counted.
Kirk Cousins feeds his guys, especially for fantasy purposes.
1,000%.
He can sling it. He might be going out as like one of the more underrated players.
I think he'll be a lot more liked now because of that.
100%.
Well, he's going to be the guy that when he retires, we're going to look back and be like, Kirk Cousins was actually pretty good.
Oh yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
You're going to look at all the stats and like, oh fuck.
But on Monday Night Football, when he loses like 40-0 to the Eagles,
right?
Yeah, he's had a bunch of
and Justin Jefferson is borderline playing D-back.
If he
just
played,
making sure Slay's not picking balls off.
If he played every game at 1:00, he'd be one of the best quarterbacks.
Hall of Famer if it's at 1 every game.
Yeah.
just make the games at 1:00. Sean wrote this down. I don't know how. Is Zeke Eddie Lacy 2.0?
He's been beefing up.
The photo comes out. He looks thick. It looks like he hit the
go to the main.
Hit the buffet instead of the weight room in the summer.
I'm in a good spot. I'm in a spot where this is. I would say Zeke was my Ohio State guy. Then he went to my mortal enemy. I was in a very bad spot where I could not love him the last few years. I want to defend him a little bit. He's always been thick in the sense that he's a 6 foot, 230-pound running back. I'm curious to see how much of that six pack is still there because he was just thick and pure, just so like beefy and strong. I just think.
Oh, see, this is a sign.
But he's wearing the hoodie though. You can't really see.
But he was always a cutoff guy, showing the stomach.
Well, I think it's summer. He's trying to shed a little bit of the weight off, which is fair. But it's funny because people are kind of like clowning this signing. He scored 12 touchdowns last year. He had almost. Clemmer's about to.
I mean,
let me finish. And I'll let you rebuttal. But I'm saying he's not getting signed to be like your bell cow running back.
Exactly. Stevenson.
He is being signed to be your like. I guess my general point.
Change of pace.
I still think he's still a very solid short yardage,
goal line,
like secondary running, like a complementary piece running back. He is not your bell cow. But even with Pollard, who had a phenomenal year last year, he was great in short yardage. He's not averaging the yards per carry he used to.
That's what worries me.
But I think he still can be a nice like complementary piece, short yardage. When Stevenson needs a break, you can still give Zeke 10, 12 carries a game, and I think he will be productive.
He can't be a full-time guy.
No, he's not.
He's a goal line merchant.
He got fed 2,000 times in his first 3 years.
He still had almost 1,000 all-purpose yards last year.
Yeah, but look at yards per attempt. He used to be a guy 5.1, 4.7. He's 3.8 last year.
He's not. No, that's what I'm saying.
His yards per catch.
He's not that guy.
Even when he receives, he was 11 yards of reception, 10 yards last year, 5.4.
Well, of course, because Pollard's more
things like that. But
Pollard's going to be more the receiving back like last year. I just think people are clowning it like
he's slower.
Of course, but it's because he just has so much tread in his tires. I guess, like I said, my point is that I think he's still a good complementary piece. I think he's still a solid number 2 back. No one's signing him to be like this bell cow. Oh, he's going to be the 2016 Zeke that ran for 1,800 yards or whatever he ran for like his rookie year, second year. I think it's a solid signing if you need like a second back, short yardage back. He still can help your football team win.
And I think that's the right way to go into the NFL, that you should have, as long as you don't overpay, have a lot of depth at running back. And then guys go down. They're interchangeable, like up-tempo offenses. Just if you can sell them on it, because their stats are never going to really explode by that rationale. So when you then become a free agent, a team's looking at you like, well, you had 875 yards. Like, yeah, the other two guys had 875. Look at our offense.
That's why it's very questionable to draft running backs in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. So, if you can get depth at the NFL, and I think Belichick like has that. He's always kind of had like interchange. Hasn't Patriots running backs been awful in fantasy? In terms of the sense that
he uses
1 week you got James White, another week you got this guy, you got that guy. It's like
but they're always efficient. If you can find the right one.
No, they're
that does
definitely
well. Like
efficient.
James White, Deion Lewis would always like catch 5 passes.
Ever since Corey Dillon, though, Rico is right. They've been using kind of this mix and match. It's been like that for like decades.
They've been pretty good like with that strategy, so I don't hate that in the NFL.
Well, Garrett Blount was great for him.
Exactly, yeah. Just keep interchanging them. Like that's how it's gonna go.
They haven't been really that good in the last 4 years. But
Fair enough.
Discussion.
Couple of hypotheticals for college football or college football bold takes. If I could give you the entire state of Texas, every team in the state of Texas to go under 9.5 wins, would you take it? So there's a few that are like no-brainers that I don't think, but it can definitely get hairy. North Texas, I'll read them all off, I guess. North Texas, SMU, Texas State, Rice, UTEP, UTSA, Sam Houston State, Houston, Texas, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Baylor, TCU. Off the bat, you got a bunch that you're not going to sweat. I don't think Sam Houston's getting 9.5. I think we're okay. The ones that stood out to me in terms of like really being pesky, SMU, Texas, and still kind of potentially TCU. Potentially.
I got one more. UTSA.
Yes, UTSA as well. I missed
They're
that
still
one.
very good. Frank Harris is still there.
In that conference. So like
Harry Franklin's still there, which is crazy. Fucking monster. And just the conference they play in, obviously.
I think it's fun, too, to just kind of dunk on. It's weird, though. Texas is such a storied history of football and shutting it down in high school, and they live and breathe in football. Can you imagine if the whole state went under 10.5? Under 9.5.
And I wrote a blog about Texas because I was just taking a jab. That unnecessary roughness, like they all picked Texas to win the conference. And listen, honestly, they're the rightful favorite.
It's time. They kind of have
They
to.
should be the
Have
favorite.
to.
September 9th, we find out.
They're clearly the best. They're clearly the best team on paper in the conference. I don't know. I mean, I just think I think Oklahoma should be a little better. Kansas State did lose out on defense, but they should still be solid.
I think Kleiman can come up with a really good scheme to get them.
And the point I was making, I think Quinn Ewers is getting a lot of benefit of the doubt. He wasn't that good last year.
Also, Kansas State lost, I'm pretty sure, close to Texas last year with quarterback injuries. They lost guys in that game.
I was wondering what the fuck you were
Marty just
talking
was
about.
out of control.
No, he was looking at.
That was a wild move by Ev.
Yeah, I think it was that move. He was going like this, and I was like, he took my water.
Well, move by me.
We were victims.
I just pointed, being like, I need water.
It happens. I was also a victim of the glass, too, so go check it out.
I didn't think Rico was going to just pause when I did it.
Go check out.
that was
I got a little glass. Go check out.
That was an old cheese and crackers moment.
Yeah, go check out and about. Check out and about.
Big Ev said, I think.
Climate got hurt. Kansas got hurt, but Texas, they got to eventually do it. It's one of those things.
Think
they're in a
about if
position.
Ewers.
They got to eventually do it.
Ewers doesn't go down that game last year against
Bama.
They might win that.
They might win that. You don't know that. I'm not saying they do, but they win that. Like the whole season could be changed. Like that's a huge. He has a huge year ahead of him, and he's definitely a Heisman. Like I know Caleb Williams is, but like favorite, right?
Yeah, he's up there. He's definitely in the top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Ewers' odds is a plus 1,200 to win the Heisman.
Okay. Also, isn't Arch Manning doing really well at camp too?
I mean, they got Malik Murphy too, is a beast.
Nuts. That
Why
really
did Arch go there? Like
because I think once it finally clicks, like the NIL.
Well, if Ewers left college or left high school early, so the crazy thing enough is, like in terms of age, this would only be like a sophomore year, but he did the Ohio State year.
Yeah.
This would be his second year at Texas. If he plays good, he go to the draft right now.
That's
after the season, he go to the draft. So I think Arch is thinking he could slide it next year. Which is crazy that Ewers had no patience at Ohio State because he would have started Ohio State this year. Mm-hmm. He would have just had to wait 1 year.
Who's Ohio State's quarterback this year?
Still competition. Probably McCord, but they're saying it's still a good race right now, McCord and this kid, Devin Brown. Who you'll hate. Devin Brown wears number 33. We could have a number 33 playing quarterback.
I don't care about the numbers.
I'm so glad.
I mean, you can't. I mean, Doug Flutie, he could pass.
I think 20s is cool. 33 would look crazy.
It is looking weird.
People have been talking. I guess Bridgewater for this preseason thing is wearing number 50. And people have been going nuts about that.
I kind of love that.
I tweeted, I said, everyone, I remember even last year when they made the rule in the NFL, you can wear whatever number. I liked it. I feel like a lot of people didn't like the single-digit numbers for defensive players like they do in college.
Oh, I love that.
I liked it. I thought it was cool people wearing whatever number they want.
Remember-
Some people don't like it.
Devin Gardner wearing 98 at Michigan.
Yep.
I have a quick Texas football question. Since we're all fans of Friday Night Lights, both the show and the movie. Gun to head for each Texan, God-fearing Texan. That's more guns than heads, but would they rather pick college football or high school football?
High school.
Only one could survive.
I think high school.
I don't know. I don't know that answer.
From what I've
would be
watched for the Permian Panthers,
Yeah.
both Permian Panthers. or
Casey
Dylan
would be a
Panthers
good
and-
person.
Even just
Dylan
watching,
and Permian
I
Panthers.
watched the Manziel documentary last. Yeah,
Documentary.
documentary. I don't know what the fuck just happened there. I
Casey
watched
would
it
be a
last
good person.
night, and it was like he was like a smaller town Texas guy too, and it was fucking ginormous those games. So
You see
That's a
those
good
stadiums.
hypothetical.
yeah,
Yeah, no, without a doubt. If
Whoa.
you're-
We passed when we were down for the Final Four. It was like some random like high school in Houston. It was fucking insane.
If
The-
you're
we
It
just
fit
pulled
like,
it.
fit like 10,000 people.
We
Yeah.
just pulled it up. This is Allen High School in Allen, Texas. This is a high school field. It is
Yeah.
massive.
That's a
if you're
stadium.
from Texas, put the number on the
Fucking
screen.
stadium.
Call in and weigh in because that's an awesome debate.
That is a high school.
And I think it goes like 50. I think it goes 50-50.
Yeah, chat split.
I think it goes 50-50. That's a great point, Smitty.
Matt Saracen, by the way, Friday Night Lights. Is he not the greatest guy ever? Matt Saracen.
Nice fella.
He's a great guy. One of my all-time favorite TV characters.
Julie didn't deserve him. Julie fucked him.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally fucked him.
Yeah, Matt Saracen deserves a
So-
lot. Great
It almost annoyed me that he went back to her.
Me too.
Mike
He didn't
Winchell was
deserve it.
great too.
Winchell was great too. And what was weird
Winchell's
about
Winchell's
Winchell,
like my favorite.
I just rewatched that movie on the plane the other day.
such a good plane movie.
Then he went to Tokyo for Tokyo Drift.
They
What a life.
Hell of a street racer. A lot more personality in Tokyo.
They
Up on that art.
they didn't really give you much of Winchell's life and why it was so fucked up. You know, he has that conversation on the phone booth with his brother.
I disagree. His dad's not around. His mom's old and really sick.
No, they
They
should
just give you the one.
He's the man of the house.
Give you the one
He's
conversation.
got the weight of the world on his shoulders from the town. That
Yeah.
he's the quarterback.
I
But he's
could've-
not
I
the
But over a
best player.
TV show, you're going to get more of that. I guess it's not fair because you're going to get more of that unfold with Saracen. You know, when his dad comes
I think
back,
he
his
had
dad
one of the
leaves.
easiest acting roles of all time.
Yeah.
He didn't have to. He had to act mad, be a good quarterback, and say about 60 words.
I could have used
I thought
another
he did
scene
it.
of him.
He did a great job.
Well, you know, who was he on the phone with?
Right.
Was his brother, like, just was interesting.
It seemed like his brother's away and somewhere he moved.
I guess it just worked. The less they gave you, the more.
Because the whole thing with him, he's like he wants he's like get out of Odessa, Texas, like go do something with his life. Like he's like you got to leave your mother behind, kind of thing. You can't just stay here forever.
I'll give you
Texas
one.
forever.
I think it's going to be hard, and it's not fair because you got 6 seasons of Riggins. Billingsley or Riggins? Better character.
It's tough.
Billingsley was good.
It's tough not. To
I know
say
Riggins is all time, but he had 6 years.
I love Billingsley. It's tough not, and I prefer the movie to the TV show. I mean, I love the. TV
I do
show.
as well.
Did.
I think
I mean,
the
I
show's
love the TV
great.
show.
I like the show.
movie's
One thing I
untouchable.
did agree with Brandon Walker is it is a little weird that Tim Riggins is like a 25-year-old sophomore.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
also his
I
best
was
friend is
starting.
Jason Street. They're 2
Yeah.
years
Well,
apart.
I have a theory. I'd love to talk to. Actually, Peter Berg did both the movie and the TV show.
Yeah.
I'd love to ask him if that initial season they planned on him being a senior, and then he just was such a pivotal character. They had because the first episode he's drunk as shit, and then like before practice, you come to find out he would have been like 15.
He's hanging out at strip clubs.
Which I'm not saying like
Crazy.
kids didn't drink at 15, but he's like a fucking he's a mechanic. Like he's like a 30-year-old mechanic that's like waking up for had a few beers last night, waking up for a shift. But instead he has high school football practice.
He dates that single mom, and he's
Also, he was
sophomore.
like a
Very strange.
he was like a kid. Yeah, him and his brother were fighting over like one woman who was like 30.
Yeah. Good show.
Sometimes with the
Unbelievable show.
movie, I stand
for
I get
the
really
movie.
sad for the movie every time when the 1 yard line. It just
Oh, it
really
breaks my
Yeah, I
heart.
get choked
Like,
up.
And they got
Still get-
fucked.
they did
They
get
got fucked.
The halftime speech is
The
great.
fucking
It's
incomplete
unbelievable.
pass they called complete.
It still gets me
Fucking
upset.
he scored a touchdown. He got kicked in the face by a helmet.
Yep.
No penalty. Ridiculous.
Real-
Holding call that was nonsense.
Real quick about the Johnny thing. I know everyone watched it already, but I want to say when his agent and lawyer lined up as the wide receivers, how did the Browns still draft him?
most incompetent franchise in the history.
You have to you have to be one of the stupidest franchises ever when his receivers didn't show up because Johnny and the receivers were too drunk, and Johnny showed up and none of the wide receivers did. So Eric Burkhardt, his agent, and his lawyer lined up for routes.
That's a red flag.
How are you the Browns being like, that's our guy?
Wait, Manziel was supposed to bring the receivers himself?
Like they were all supposed to show up, but they all slept.
But what was the
overslept.
what was the thing with the Texans?
The Texans.
He blew it like they were like they would never draft. He did something stupid.
He went to they had dinner with the Texans owner. Went to a charity. Johnny donated money. It was great. And then the next day he went out on like their course that that they own, I think, or something. And by hole 5, he was belligerent and getting.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The Texans.
Yeah, that'll
got a
do
call.
it. What's up? Smitty's got it.
Oh, yes.
We good, Zach. You trying to fire it up?
But seriously, how are you as a coach, as a owner, anything, see that your lawyer's running a slant route, and it's like, what's draft that guy?
Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, like everyone had passed on him. They thought he was going to just keep falling. I remember even stories from him like that. He was texting the Browns like I'm gonna.
Yeah, he said I'm
gonna be your guy. Like
don't
trust
pass
me.
this up. Yeah.
A couple other college hypotheticals, but I want to touch. We did this last year, I think. Give it to Smitty just because it's a little bit easier. If they're from Texas, we can.
We got a third-generation high school coach on there.
All right, fire him up. I want to hear that.
Third generation high school coach.
What's his name?
Drew.
High school football or college football in Texas?
I mean, it's football. It's high school football for sure, but like everyone's.
I love
it's all football, man.
First, where it's like it wasn't even a question, just football.
Yeah. So what do you think the state?
It's all football.
What do you think the state votes in? 70-30, 60-40?
It depends where you're at, man. Because like if someone's like gone to college at like a big school, it's probably be a college person. But like if you're from like a small town, it's high school football all the way, man. So
Okay.
Like I grew up like my dad coached at Permian when I was like early 2000s, right after that movie came out. So like it was.
Oh wow.
That atmosphere is just like a college. As any college atmosphere, it's the same thing. Like it's crazy.
Is it still Ratliff Stadium?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Slam and Sammy still kicking?
No, like y'all remember Roy Williams, the receiver that played for the Lions?
Yes.
He the year we got there was the year after he left. So it was like when they went 5-5, and he was.
Yeah, I used to check that up. Permian had some 500 years. It wasn't always roses.
Yeah,
but
they had Midland Lee, like they had Cedric Benson and Eric Winston on that team.
Wow.
They won a state championship like a year later or something. It was crazy.
Crazy. So, all right, thanks. Yeah, that's an interesting split.
Thank you, Drew.
Having that much talent, you got two like future like NFL like stalwarts.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
On the same team.
That was a great call by Drew and insight, but I would have loved it if he just stuck with football. That's his answer.
Yes.
I don't care what it is.
You have another Texas on there or no?
We got a few. We got Casey from College Station.
Is he Smith?
Casey.
Hey, boys. How we doing today?
What's going on?
Not much. I couldn't hear Drew, obviously, because I was on the other line, but I kind of just think it depends on where you grow up. Like high school football, I grew up here in College Station, and it is big, but to be honest, I haven't been to a high school game since I left high school. So, I mean, like the Allen footballs of the world, the Carrolltons up in the Dallas area, those get a bunch of traction and a bunch of fans that come out. But if you're from like the small town, I think it's cool while you're there, but definitely college. I mean, if you're talking Texas A&M, that pop is just something that you really can't compare to high school, in my opinion. Now, obviously, there's others who think differently, but I just think when you're talking big D1, there's no comparison to a high school football.
Makes sense. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I think we got our answers.
Yeah.
Like, Texas is a big-ass fucking state. Yeah. If you grew up in a small town, it's high school. If you grew up near a city or a college, it's college.
I think the thing that gets it's going to get hairy there is you open it up to college football, and then college football means your Texas teams are playing at a conference games as well. Or the fact that you get to experience teams outside of Texas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's where it gets a little hairy. Like, college football in general, I guess I'm picking just college. Texas is schools in Texas or high school football is what it is. But we did this last year, switching back to the NFL. So we did this last year. If you can get in line and there's a contest that in the whole country that the highest payout for Super Bowl odds in February wins you the prize. You obviously have to win the Super Bowl to get the payout. How far down the line are you willing to go? So if you want to be the guy who takes the Chiefs at 6-1, okay, great. But you're splitting that prize,
that's
a couple of thousand ways.
Chiefs 6-1 is like
it's crazy. You're never going to get it any higher than that. No. So I get your point. If you want to be the guy in the Chiefs, but splitting the pot. But let's say there's 40 guys who have the Jets are a bad example. 40 guys who have the Falcons in the whole country. You're only splitting it that way. You might be the only guy with the Falcons. How far down that line are you willing to go?
I think there's only 8 teams that can win the Super Bowl.
I'll give you mine.
The Ravens.
I'll give you my 2, and then we can kind of unpack it. I don't want to take anybody outside in the AFC going against the Chiefs. I think that's a bad strategy. So for me to default, I'm going NFC. I'll take the 49ers at 10-1, even though I really do think the Eagles is probably the smarter play. It's boring as shit, but it's $7.50. I think you guys are still the favorite in the NFC. You might be able to get over the hump, but even with the quarterback questions, it looks like Purdy will be okay. We'll get that going. I probably take San Fran as my 10-1. I'm sorry, or 9-1. I take San Fran at 9-1, and then I would move down the line for the long shot. The Saints at 40-1. They're going to win that division. They're going to have a home. They're going to have a home playoff game. They could have one of those inflated Vikings records, like 12-4. Maybe they get the bye home. Derek Carr. I don't know. They can just kind of get it.
The NFC's pretty weak.
NFC's weak. The thought process is I do not want to go against the AFC. I don't want to go against Mahomes till he loses, and I don't think he will lose.
Can I have one question?
Yeah.
I have mine, but are the Giants that disrespected? They're not even on the list. Like the Bears.
They can't be. No, they can't be as low as the Rams.
Yeah. Bears.
Did we miss the Giants?
They're not even on
here.
Interesting.
Giants have to be like plus 3,000 with the Seahawks and Browns.
Same as the Rams. You know what? Good.
That's crazy. I'm not saying they're not that bad.
You know what that means, Martin? We're gonna make
Giants are plus 6,000.
Are you serious?
Serious. They're tied with the Patriots and Raiders.
The fact they're tied with the Rams is pretty crazy.
We just did the whole thing.
No, they're further down the list.
We just
They're the same. They're the same. They're plus 6.
Oh, I know, but we just all talked about it. He just said it 10 seconds later. That's what I'm saying.
Who would you take?
We all said the Giants are 6,000.
Who's your favorite, and then who's your real?
I was looking it up. Did you know that they were tied with the Patriots?
Yes, we all said
who's your favorite, and then who's your real dark horse?
My favorite, I'm going with the Dolphins 25-1.
Okay.
I think that's amazing value for an offense that can really, really go up against a Chiefs type of offense, and their defense is good.
Ev. So I guess that's middle. That's your one middle. That makes sense. Ev, if you had to pick like a favorite, at the 10 or 12 range, and then you're going deep, which way are you going?
If I had to take a favorite, I would go. It's so tough not to like just bank one from the NFC on the Eagles. Like I know it's like the second. If I would go them just because them are the Niners, but you're splitting hairs. I'd rather just take the Eagles at that point. The long shot, I was thinking Dolphins. I'll go Steelers. They're 50-1.
Really?
If you saw that, when TJ Watt is healthy, their defense is lights out. I actually thought Pickett looked good last year. He was a big year for him. He was clutch at the end of games. Listen, I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to like project him to win the Super Bowl. But if you told me we're doing this big contest like you're saying, and there's this big pot, and I already have like the Eagles on one side, I'll take a crazy dark horse in the Steelers.
Are they as good as, and maybe this isn't a fair comparison, as their 2008 Super Bowl win when Roethlisberger was like kind of a young game manager? I don't know if they're as good as that.
I don't know if they're,
but I think Pickett might be a little better than Roethlisberger at that time. He might not be as good as
talent-wise,
long term. But at that time, Pickett.
Sometimes a guy just takes a leap like that. Kenny might be due for the.
I'll say
the
defense is one of the better defenses in the league. As long as TJ Watt's on the field, they're phenomenal. They still have Cam Hayward. A lot of these guys are still very good. On offense, the O line is getting better. They have Najee Harris now. They have Pickens. We don't have to get. He's a talented guy. We'll leave it at that. Deontay Johnson's a good receiver. He didn't score last year. We know he's a good player. I think they're going to work that out. And Fryermuth's a solid tight end. Like they have like a good foundation.
Claypool. People forget.
Claypool.
No, they traded Claypool.
They trade him, but they have a good foundation to be like a very good football team. Can they be great? I mean that might be a reach, but for the sake of this contest, like 50-1.
No, it's not.
I'll take a shot.
Yeah.
I'm talking about long shots, but Pickett, I really do think that he was way better than I thought he was going to be just last year. And that team was kind of like in shambles when he came in and stuff. And I think this is a huge year for him to leap, and he does have those weapons for him. So, and like you said, Watt accounts for 3 wins for that team.
You saw when they came back and he wasn't even 100%. It was like when they win, like their
himself,
defense.
yeah, like he doesn't
so
need
much. Like the amount of points they average, like giving up when he's on the field to not on the field, is huge.
Yeah.
One of the more valuable players on defense in the league by far.
Side note to someone that was also impressive was in the preseason, though. I know these are like long
I know what
shots.
you're gonna say.
But Stetson Bennett. I'm just saying.
I didn't think you were going to say
I'm just saying if Stafford sucks, you could see him. Yep. I mean,
I was going to say Calvin Austin, the Steelers drafted last year. Memphis, I know Rico knows.
Oh, yes.
Fast as hell. And in the preseason, he's been and they say at camp he's been good. In preseason, he's been very good. He's been incredible. He can be a nice weapon as well on offense. I think the Steelers have a lot of potential.
Smitty, which way would you go?
I mean, I'm going Eagles. It's just a no-brainer in my mind. You might be seeing an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl for the next 2 years if everyone's healthy. Jalen Hurts is apparently looking better than he did last year. And Jalen Carter is a problem.
Dude, some of the
Nobody
stuff I
can
was
stop
that
him.
preseason game, I was like, this guy's a freak.
He was in for 2 snaps, and they're just like, okay, you proved yourself. Get out.
It was incredible. I was like, holy shit.
Anybody deep?
My deep, now, you want to talk about a hot take, baby. Plus 4,000, the Denver Broncos. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Everybody is so down on them after that shit show last year. You got the worst problem out. The second worst problem is Russell Wilson. Does he bounce back? We'll see. But Sean Payton is going to have him ready to play, and their defense is top 5 along with the Jets and some other teams. I'm going to get this out, I'm going to get this wrong. Something like if the Broncos scored over 16 points last year, they would have won like 6 more games.
Yeah.
7 more games.
Yeah.
That's how inept their offense was. You think it's going to be like that under Sean Payton? You got to go against the Chiefs. Like, you got to fade them. You got to get through a couple powerhouses. But Russell Wilson and Sean Payton have both been there before. And with that defense,
you'll know early with the Broncos if they're like in shambles, or do you think they'll be kind of mediocre?
I don't think they'll be in shambles at any point. I really don't. I think they'll be at worst close to 500.
They're an interesting team. I have no idea how to feel.
I mean, if you think about it, so a lot of their struggles last year, it was just incompetence with like clock management,
coaching.
Yeah.
and just
terrible.
coaching.
It was all coaching and system.
And
That's
Russell
all it
Wilson
was.
just played the worst.
It almost
yeah.
almost can't be worse.
Right. Clemmer, if you had to take a shot, which way are you leaning?
Yeah, so I mean, the Chiefs are, that would be the pick.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like
We all
want
want
to win the
we
Super
all
Bowl.
would
I
take
still
the
think the Chiefs weirdly are 6, but
I-
you got to put an exercise
Right.
to this.
Yeah,
That's
and I
how
think there's really only 7 teams that I think can really win a Super Bowl. Top 8 here minus the Cowboys. So I would probably go Ravens. I mean, if everything went right,
Okay.
maybe the Ravens
that
scare me because the AFC because it's so deep. But I mean, Lamar Jackson's so good. I guess if you had a long shot, the Rams. If everything went right, let's say Stafford ends up playing like he did 2 years ago, and everything went right, maybe, and the NFC is so weak, maybe there's an avenue, and it's 60-1.
They still don't have it.
I know. Honestly, I would go with the Ravens then.
Okay.
You know who's should not be this high up on the list? I think the Seahawks are due for a bad year.
Me too.
And they're plus 3,000. I don't think that they are not that. Like Geno Smith, I think that is going to he could be average. He is not going to have a year like he did last year.
How he did the end of last year.
Exactly. It started to slow down for him. I think they're what's their win total?
You writing them off?
I'm writing them off.
He ain't right back. We'll do that same thing for college tomorrow. I think that's always fun to have. But I'll be honest, I think the long shots in the NFL are way more likely than college. It's just kind of the way it goes.
Not even close.
I've had so many where it's like, it's so much fun to have them at 100. They start 8-0, and you're like, they got no shot. It's just how it goes in college. But I love futures. I'm addicted to futures. So
back to Travis saying
goes.
like Stetson Bennett, like Trevor Lawrence is 2 years younger than Stetson Bennett.
I mean, Joe Burrow's
Crazy.
old too. They're not in the same area code, but still age.
crazy.
Burrow's
He's
what, 26?
He's probably, honestly, Stetson Bennett and Lamar, like this is probably the same age. Lamar's been like 5 years.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Only 7 teams with the worst odds to win the Super Bowl than the Giants.
That's insane.
That is
a lot.
crazy.
The Giants' defensive line is like
Really
one
good.
of the best.
But I guess you got to look at it this way: like the Giants are then going to be road warriors in the playoffs, even if things go really well, because it's pretty certain the Eagles are going to win that division.
Plus, didn't the Giants and Vikings win the most games by one score last year?
Yeah,
The Giants didn't perform well.
Only thing the
sure.
Giants did was add. They added.
But you got
you're not
you
winning
think
the
last
division.
year.
You get what I'm saying?
no,
Like,
100%.
it's-
But 60 is crazy.
Well, you got to
Like,
think. You got to think last year too, which is my point about how I can't wait. They're going to disrespect this on like each week's gambling line.
Oh my God! Yeah,
But last year we were disrespected constantly. We won so many games as underdogs.
we were 14
Vegas,
and 5.
Vegas just doesn't see this team as good. I wonder how much Vegas truly implements like coaching, and obviously it factors in at some level. But I wonder how much they truly factor in like how good of a coach Dave
I think
is
not
into
much.
the betting line.
I think it's an old TikTok. I hope it's a new TikTok. I just saw Gronk say, and I don't know if
No,
you
it's
really want to go.
yesterday,
It
yeah.
was yesterday. He said the only coach who could bring you back. The girl's like, who would bring you back? He goes, Brian Dable.
You 100% happy about that.
It's just fun to have. It's fun to have in your back pocket.
1,000.
This is for every. I'm telling you, watch how well he uses Bellinger and Waller together.
Oh yeah, without
my
a doubt.
God.
Double
yeah.
tight. I'm telling you, he's going to use that so
Giants
well.
were 14-5 against the spread last year. That's crazy.
Phenomenal.
He'll figure it out.
You know, we had that like volatile argument or discussion a couple days ago.
Yes.
I would say there's no team below the Giants that have anything but a volatile quarterback.
I know.
The Giants are the very first team that pops up that you would say is
Stable,
stable.
So, what about this? Is Tennessee for 2023 the Oklahoma of 2022? A lot of hype. 9.5 wins for their win total. It is plus 146. Oklahoma finished what last year, Trav?
7 and 6.
7-6. So
They
like
won the bowl
they
game.
won the bowl
They
game.
won the
Not
bowl
great.
game. Yeah.
Didn't look good. Probably a lot of bad losses. Is Tennessee due for that big time regression? It makes sense to me.
It could. Joe Milton is such an X factor.
They had such a bad break with that last year at the end.
Even
A lot went their way.
Even when Hendon Hooker, Even when Hendon Hooker, like that game that he got hurting at South Carolina, they were getting their doors blown off before he got hurt.
Right.
Like that was an L because he got hurt. They were losing that game. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be that bad. I don't think they're going to go with 6-6 because also the SEC East is not super good this year. It's Georgia and kind of Tennessee and like everybody else.
If they lose week 3 in the swamp on Joe Milton's first true road test, they're going to be calling for the $8 million man that's backing him up.
Yep.
Coming from
What's his? It's a crazy last name.
I'm not
right?
even
It's
going
hard
to try to
say.
pronounce it, but yeah, he's a 5-star. So
I mean, he did play pretty well last year. He didn't play much. Like when he came in after Hendon Hooker, he did play well. He's going to be their X factor. He's going to take them as far as they're going to go. You remember how bad he was at Michigan a few years ago?
Yeah, he was terrible.
But he did look good last year. So I do think, like as a Tennessee fan, there is something to look up to. Like I think there is some like positivity there to like there's some positive feelings to have. But it's definitely a big question mark.
Another quick fun one here. Spencer Rattler, Marty's high on him.
Oh, yeah.
Would you take his over of 4,000 passing yards? Now, he's never thrown for more than just over like 3,000. He threw for 3,000 last year, but his last 4 games were 145 against Florida, 438 against Tennessee, 360 against Clemson, 246 against Notre Dame. Like, really turned it on, and that's some good competition towards the end of the year. He did have 3,000 yards in 2020, playing 11 games total.
Yep.
4,000
You're
yards.
talking about his freshman year at Oklahoma.
Am I? 2020?
I'm saying, no, the freshman year he got the job a couple weeks in. He was really good.
Right.
And then the next year, Caleb Williams took it. He wasn't as good. Caleb Williams took his job.
Wouldn't that have been 2021?
I'm trying to. No,
I
that's
wrote
what I'm
down
saying.
2020.
I was just clarifying. Like that was.
Yeah.
I was thinking in my head.
He had 11 games.
After that year, his freshman year, he was being touted as like the year after he was gonna be the #1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
That was a real thing. That was a thing
Dude,
after his rookie
he's
season.
Has the arm talent. I think that he's more comfortable now at South Carolina. Like, it's his second year now at South Carolina. Like, I think let him settle in, and he's gonna have a lot of games where he can win people over, especially. But I don't know how they're gonna actually.
I'll say I would take the under.
4,000 yards is a lot. Yeah.
Take the over. He's gonna sling it. I love that man.
Things would just have to go so right for him to go for the over 1,000 yards.
I think they'll be down in a lot of games. He's going to have to throw a lot.
You know, Spencer Rattler's a guy. He would fall under like what I would like the talented category.
Oh yeah,
Talented as opposed to like production.
If he even misses one game, if he's hurt for one game, for any that 4,000 gets awfully hard.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bet. I think it's just like
It's not. It's like it's
His total would definitely have to
yeah.
be lower than
Threw it out.
4,000, I'm sure. But
You're also not getting really season props on college guys.
yeah, no.
From what we know. Clemmer and Smitty, if I could give you this parlay for these 4 teams in the NFL to make the playoffs, would you take it? Dolphins -105, Jets -130, Jaguars -200, Lions -175. That's got to terrify you in Detroit. By the way, terrify you.
That's insane.
Parlay plus those people have had
I'll
a
stand
lot.
up for my Detroit people.
You can, but like you haven't made the playoffs in how long?
A long time.
And you're gonna -175.
But
It pays plus.
I'm gonna take a page out of Clemmer's book.
Plus
what they did in
7-14,
2006.
by the way,
What does it
7-1.
mean? What they're gonna do this year?
Oh, Evan. Evan, don't you do that.
No,
You
but
know that's not what we do.
A lot of bad
different
Thanksgiving.
different team,
Oh,
for everything.
A lot of bad Thanksgiving. So
Different, but different quarterback, different coach,
Yep.
different team. The way the roster's constructed.
Not
is
last
different.
year.
They were close last year.
9-8 last year.
-175 is
a big number.
It's big, not close.
It's a big number, but I actually think they are the rightful favorite to win the division. That doesn't mean they're going to, but I think on paper they should be.
that parlay pays out plus 7-14, about 7-1.
Yeah, I think 3 of the 4 are generally safe. It's just a matter of how much games.
Who do you think the 3 of them are safe?
It's how many games Tua is going to play.
Yeah.
So just to be
They
clear,
were
I'm
bad
not,
without Tua last.
just to be clear, and I'm not
and
knocking
awesome
you.
with him.
The Dolphins are -105. They're the Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
worst
you're right.
odds.
That makes sense. They're the worst odds in that. Sorry, I had brain fog.
Makes
It makes sense.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
I mean, we
tough-
all
tough
agree.
division,
We all
too.
agree. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, they're all going to make.
Like,
it, obviously.
I think you get more value out of the Dolphins winning the division than the playoffs.
okay.
Because if Tua's playing, like he's
Yeah.
Also, the
good.
The Jaguars,
Really
to me, like,
good.
I get it. Trevor Lawrence took a leap last year, but he still was up and down a lot.
yeah, but that
no,
defense
no,
too.
I would say
It's
that
so
defense
bad that
can
they're
play.
-200.
But I would say he was more just. I wouldn't say he was up, but he just was like down. Then he was up.
He's a product of like feasting on a bad division.
You know why I don't like this parlay? It's like musical chairs in the AFC, right? Like, there's only so many chairs, and then to have 3 teams from one conference when we know the Chiefs, Bengals, and the Bills are all going to make it, there's only so many chairs. I wouldn't take this.
And then yeah, the AFC too. There's a lot.
Well, but if the Bills end up winning the division, this would make it tough for sure.
Yeah.
You almost are hoping the Jets win the division to lock, and then just pray the Dolphins and grab one of those wild cards.
So
the
to
odds would
touch
be
on
higher.
that too, when we went through those favorites of nobody mentioned the Bills. Like for the long odds of the
No,
Super Bowl.
this is
Nobody
their
deserved no
prove it
trust.
year.
Yeah.
They have to prove it.
What about this? Travi, what does this one pay out? The Bills to finally do it and Texas to finally do it.
Have to put it
Well,
together.
to break the streak fucking parlay.
Bills,
I just think it's
Bills
tough when
9-1. I'm going to take the Chiefs 6-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna take
Like,
or-
yes.
you know what I mean? So, like, why would
they
I-
do it, yes, absolutely.
Also, because even if they made the Super Bowl, I think the Eagles are just a better football team.
How are you?
Rather take the
Are
Eagles
you
750.
like this year? There's so much like expectations out of the Eagles. You know, like last year, I know there wasn't this much expectation, and you enjoyed the shit out of it because they're like, oh fuck, we're really good. Is it like way more stressful now when you're like, as a Giants fan, everyone's undefeated. Like we don't really. We're hoping to just make the playoffs. You know,
Yeah.
like you guys, it's basically a
Eagles
Super
are
Bowl.
plus 250 to win the NFC.
Yeah, I don't think it's stressful. I think it's a very, very good and fun position.
Of course,
to
good.
be in.
Yeah.
He wears the crown, yeah.
It relies on health, like that's it, and B, every team that is facing the Eagles this year is going to come to play. Like you're going to try to knock them off.
Target on your back
Which-
the whole time.
In which last year they responded great to it. So, I mean, I feel as long as Jalen Hurts is wearing the crown there, I'm fine.
If he struggles a little bit early, do you think people get on him?
No.
I think he's being disrespected by like the general, not Eagles fans, like everybody else.
I think he could struggle in this sense. Now you guys are playing a lot more primetime games. Target coming at you. You're going to get everybody's best shot. Like maybe he has a Sunday night game where he looks okay, not great. You lose by like 3 to a really good team. You lose, like I could see you guys losing some close ones early and then being like, oh, well, he's struggling. But if you really look at the numbers, he's still up, you know, like
And
it's not a complete
That division will help him,
sinking.
though.
He
not
is
a disaster.
and he is surrounded by absolute talent. And people forget their defense last year under Jonathan Gannon, who wasn't like a great defensive coordinator, they almost broke the sack record. And their D-line added Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, who was a problem. And their secondary is shored up. They got the plethora of depth at running at cornerback. The only real question on this team is linebacker right now, and everything else is pretty solid. Even kicker, fucking solid.
I keep calling it like maybe like
Hunter's question.
Jalen Hurts like might have a down year, but then I'm like, he has so many weapons, it's crazy. It's
not to mention one of the best lines in the NFL again.
And Swift, like I forget about him, and that's like a guy where you're like, what the fuck? And
Rashad Penny.
Almost hard to have a bad year for him, where it's like that's why I'm just gonna watch him do well again.
As long as they're healthy, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Cowboys, by the way, 6-1 to win the NFC. The Chiefs just 6-1 to win the Super Bowl. That's crazy to me. I think the Chiefs have a much better chance to win the Super Bowl.
Different bet though.
And the Cowboys are winning the NFC.
No.
So how many Cowboys? Does
Is it the division or the
NFC
just the
conference?
NFC. Different bet, though.
Conference winner.
The NFC,
Cowboys are plus 600.
The NFC is just so down right now compared to the AFC.
I'd be interested to see the Cowboys have to be one of the most bet teams on preseason.
Always.
Because of just their fan base.
But they're the paper monsters too.
Giants,
Their
30-1.
defense is much better.
30-1 to win the NFC. Giants.
But they're the team that I'll say that they don't have the pedigree. They're the team I'll say. I just don't think I just think they're coached poorly. I just think McCarthy's not the guy. I don't know if Dak's. I'm just thinking he's like regress. I'm curious to see how he plays this year.
If Jerry was able
last year, he had his worst year by far.
If Jerry was able to get Sean Payton, then I'd be scared.
Yes, yeah, I'd be more scared for sure.
So it's a tough spot because we hate the Cowboys as Giants fans.
Of course, I despise it,
and I think just
I
as whatever.
On them honestly, though, I think.
I don't want to see what would happen if he did win another one.
No.
Absolutely.
For the
Okay.
fuck is wrong with you?
No,
he's a fucking I don't know.
wild.
I don't know.
In the
How could
90s,
you
A parade.
say
He's old. I don't know. I just look at the
as a
content.
Giants fan, how could you
I
say
look at the
that?
content of that.
No.
I could speak honestly.
All right,
on them
as a
football team,
non-NFC
still say no. I do not want to see them win a Super Bowl.
Hope
As
the
a
Cowboys
non-NFC East fan.
don't exist as a team.
I was alive in the 90s. I watched those games. It was wild when the Cowboys won Super Bowls. It gets fucking crazy.
What I'm saying, I think the
No,
content.
because I have to
from
deal with
it-
my friends who've been to Texas once in their life that grew up down the street from me in New York who are Cowboys fans. Fuck that.
That's crazy.
No.
That's nuts.
for Rico's parlay that he was talking about, plus 26, plus 29.5, 26K on a payout for Texas and the Bills to both win it all.
259 to 1.
break the streak.
That's nuts.
Not where I'm at.
100 to win 26 grand.
You always see somebody who's got these parlays down the championship parlays down the road.
I want to be one of those guys.
I want to be one of those
I
guys.
remember one guy, the one guy with the
I'm never one of those guys.
The one guy with
So
the
bad.
Packers like 2 years ago, I remember.
Yeah.
When they were not like this last ride, they were good. I remember he was DM me. I was like, I almost didn't want to respond to him. I didn't want to tell him like,
No, you don't
you
want
could
to
have cashed out for like 40 grand, like $100 bet. I was like, I'm not going to tell you not to, but
See, I think you should also be able to bet just straight up like darts. You should be able to have a year, so I could say Giants in 2037, and they give me odds on it right now, and I'm just holding it. And they could have 4 championships, or they could be the worst team in the field. But either way, you got some kind of like, I don't know, whatever. It's a yak, but like truthfully, just spin a wheel, and then the sports books have to go what they're at. And you limit the wagers, like it is what it is. But imagine having a 2045 Giants ticket that you get to pass down.
You'd
to
be
your
rooting for
family
like their draft
like,
picks and stuff like
yeah, exactly.
Oh, God,
Like,
yeah, right.
I don't know.
they need to like rebuild at exactly the right time, like 2030. Like let's start the
like
rebuild.
make it fun. I don't, like it's just.
I would put $50 down on all 4 Philly sports teams for the next 50 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick some random.
And you're right, and pass it down to the kids.
And I think a lot of people would lose them. I think
It's
the
probably
books would actually. You think they're gonna? They're not gonna give you the chance of the one team hitting and breaking the bank is not gonna kill.
I'll give you one that I realized that it's similar-ish. That's kind of how Rory McIlroy's dad made the bet that my son will win the British Open by the time he's like 25 or whatever it was when he was like a child.
I also think you should just have a market on a team. So like the Lions, will the Lions win a Super Bowl in the next 10 years? And you have a straight up line. Maybe we start with that, but make it more fun.
I love it.
But you wanted the promise the line would piss you off because
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to picks. Ev, what do you got?
I'm on the Nationals. They've been playing much better lately. I'll take them plus. Also, sneaky Patrick Corbin became like this bet him every time.
He's not a bad
fade him.
pitcher.
He actually hasn't been like that horrific.
He hasn't been that bad.
Like plus 160 at home. They're
like him today, actually.
They're playing a little better. Give me the Nationals on the Guardians as well at home and the D-backs.
Happy Zach Gallen Day.
Zach Gallen Day. We celebrate
Yep. Marty, what do you
as
got?
long as their bullpen doesn't.
I'm on the D-backs and I'm on the the Nationals today. I think they're going to steal one from the Red Sox.
Smitty, what do you got?
I got one play. Browns Eagles under 37.5. They've been playing practice all week against each other, just being beaten the living shit out of each other. So no starters probably. So backups and backups under.
Clemmer.
My pick of the day is Jose Quintana over 50.5 outs. He's been really good for the Mets the last 4 starts.
I'll go D-backs minus 110, Brewers plus 112. Do we have a preseason or tonight, or is it moved to tomorrow?
It was the
tonight, Browns Eagles.
Browns Eagles tonight. Okay, yeah, sorry. I thought they should play more on Thursday, not just do all Friday night, Saturday night.
I have a pick on that later.
That's what it is. But all right, we have Barstool Radio up next. That's Pick Central. Good job, Travis.